Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Special thanks to guest lecturer member Vite Ramen. Thank you for your support. Class is in session. Yeah, of course.
Correct.
It's like,
Hello, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will to the office hours. Got it right this time. Thank you very much to my teaching assistant, Paul, for reminding me that I am in the right class. We are here. We are happy to have you here. We are going to be talking all about some wonderful spoilers for the new set. And I am joined, as always, by Paul Reisman.
stop, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco show.
No,
with yours
no,
truly.
stop. You're not. Although I did
Demonetized.
I did get told
Sued.
by someone. I did get told by someone at Caseyville that I remind them of Philip DeFranco. I was like, that's a little weird, and also not the first time I've been told that, so that's strange. And also, as always, Mike Rants.
Ruler school? I thought this was a Spanish class.
We don't offer that class here. We really need to improve our extracurricular multicultural options here at Ruler School. Thank you for pointing that out, Mike.
You got it.
Do want to say, as always, if you like what we do, you want to consider supporting us, you can click that join button down below. We are on the road to hit 125 members so we can get our beautiful troll Brad emote unlocked. And if you get join access to the members of the channel, you get access to all kinds of cool perks, including being able to use the emotes that we have unlocked so far, as well as access to being able to get your decks critiqued, submit decks for being played on the channel, play games with us that are recorded, all kinds of stuff. You can check, and cool merch, which you can check that out too. Also, just subscribe and like the video. We're glad that you're here. We're going to talk about some cool cards. And if you haven't already gotten your pre-orders in, which why haven't you, but hopefully you have, Odyssey Games has pre-orders still for the 7th, currently available down below. You can check those out. And then, as always, also August 15th, this coming weekend, we have the online GP, thanks to Canada. And you can go check the link in the description below to get signed up for that. So, another opportunity for an unpaid invite. Not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. So, yeah. Spoilers. We were down to 2 spoilers a day, so we kind of like pulled the brakes back pretty quick. We're specifically going to be talking about spoilers that we haven't already talked about here on the channel, meaning that if you want to see the 4 spoilers that we got in the middle of last week exclusively to Ruler School, you should go check out that video, because we're not going to talk about those here tonight. So first off, we're going to talk about one of our Marvel rares. It is Charlotte, Inheritor of the 7th Power. 2 cost quick cast human angel hero with quick cast flying and barrier black. You can pay 1 white less to play this card if your opponent played a God's Heart this turn. Enter. You may reveal a light card with total cost 1 you own from outside the game and play it by paying its cost, essentially replacing the one that you paid for her potentially for the card that you're about to play. Then put it back outside the game as it resolves. You may not reveal an alternative card this way, and she gains +1/+1 for each guidance counter on entities you control. Which is a 6/7. It's a pretty good stat line for a 2-drop.
Was quick cast flying and barrier black? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Seems decent.
I really like this a lot because we've certainly seen that white 1-drop chants have become the predominant sideboard slots for a lot of decks. Like the sideboardable tech, like 1-drop white spells have become very prevalent. I like this card a lot. I want to hear your guys' thoughts before I kind of give my second thoughts on it.
So we read this, and I looked at it again, and I'm like, wait a minute. This is really good. This is much better than I thought. So what if I told you that, sure, we're going to be talking about Garion, right? So sure, Garion is going to warp this format and sort of change it into something completely different. What if I told you there's a way to get around his effect if he attacks, and you just have a Schrodinger's cry in your sideboard, and you just play it? Does that work?
No, it would not work.
It does not, because you're still paying its cost.
Because you're
right?
still playing the card.
Gotcha.
And so Garion says you can't
Okay.
play 1 costs.
Okay, never mind. But I still think it's okay. I mean, it's a quick cast flying resonator that gets bigger if you run it in Faria,
Yeah.
which I think is okay. I don't know how many of these I want to play, but it seems like a decent card because it has quick cast and flying in barrier black. That's pretty good. It just gets a little bit bigger, but I don't know. I'm kind of mixed. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10, 6, 7 out of 10.
Mike, thoughts?
Oop. Sorry, got
Stop dying.
It's cool. No, I think she's a really, really solid card overall. Excuse me while I finish chewing this Ricola.
Yeah, just dying. It's fine.
It happens. Welcome to my weekend of allergies and terrible ideas. I think one of the biggest things I like about her, obviously, 3 keywords on the stat line is really good. It's just like it just seems good for tempo, but then again, Force Will's just been a game that's so above the stats for such a long time that that's not the part that stands out to me. The part that stands to me is 3 very significant races all put together onto the top, which is nice. Heroes for the hero support, humans with human support, angels. Maybe we could see her played off of a
Wings of the
Wings of
Archangel.
an Archangel. Yeah,
Because
That
we
part's
were
kinda crazy to
talking
me.
before this about how, like, with Garion around, there is very much a real opportunity, I think, to explore the world of Regalia decks again. And because, like, the thing that held Regalia decks back for so long was Welser, this, like, unreally answerable one cost quick cast cancel, right? And now, like, there's a world where Yggdrasil on 1 into Regalia with 1 will up on 2 is kind of a thing potentially again. So, like, absolutely, those 3 races are very, very legitimate.
I think one of the biggest other things about
Fair
her is
enough.
the fact that like you can kind of like with white 1-drop chance, there's such a wide variety of what you can really do with that. There's ones that gain you life. There's the fact that people can just sideboard intimidation, which I think has always been a card that's like been good enough to see main deck play that's never really done much in the main board because decks aren't aggressive enough. Just having a 6/7 body that can get you that is kind of sick.
Yeah, it's so there's like 2 things for this card that I think are my biggest considerations for it, which are, does the format, I predict it will, but does the format slow down enough that 2 cost bodies, that casting this without a God's Art feels relevant enough, right? That, like, the game tempo feels slow enough that me paying for 2 still feels good, right? And that's question number 1, which I think we're gonna get there because of what we've seen. But that's, as Stephen Holzheiser puts it, I am eternally optimistic. So who knows? But the second part is how prevalent the 6 age or the Fallens become, right? Because this is one of those things where it just says your opponent has to have played a God's Art, meaning they don't have to have resolved it. So if they do a God's Art in response, this is now going to cost 1, right? And outside of the Fallen Angel rulers, we only have 1 ruler who's got a God Art, and that's Olivia. So, like, that cost reduction element becomes, like, how prevalent are the God's Art rulers going to become? And I think that those 2 questions, her strength ebbs and flows, especially outside of an Excalibur deck. In an Excalibur deck, I think I'm on the same fence as Paul. I was like, probably a 2 of. Like, maybe in the main board, we'll see. But, like, if it's freaking everywhere with these tag Fallen Angel rulers, then, like, psh, are you a white base deck? You probably played 4 of these and feel comfortable about it, right? It's there's a lot of, for a Marvel rare that we've seen, she has the most, like, meta dependent power level in my mind. And so that we just need to see. And she comes with a banger of a spell, which we're gonna go into here right now.
Well, hold on. I just want to
Yeah.
name all of the 1-drops that are going to remain in the format
Sure.
when this releases. So we have things like Parry, Crystallization, Yggdrasil's Grace, 3 of a kind, but not really. Schrodinger's Cry, Your favorite card, Lenneth's Wish, buddy.
Ooh.
Intimidation, which we already named.
Do you enjoy Lenneth's
Dispelling
Wish?
Stone.
Ooh. Ooh, Dispelling Stone.
Awakening of Zero. Dispelling Stone. Awakening of Zero. Give all your stuff eternal.
Including her.
And then, I mean, there's some one-drop stuff in Faria to give guidance counters to other things, which is really nice.
Do
and
we
then,
say Schrodinger's Cry?
Tiger Magic as well.
We say Schrodinger's Cry?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and then Tiger Magic. Yeah, like I said, techable.
That's decent. It's more
white,
like this.
You could also play White Garden, the Atom, to gain 1,000 life.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Just gain 1,000 life.
One cost white tech is like really prevalent. Like there's a lot of them.
In time, having White Garden to swing the board state constantly.
Stop.
Like that's just.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. There you go.
Honestly.
There is one thing that's been discussed though. It's not super relevant. It really only applies to like Dispelling Stone, because Dispelling Stone says shuffle it into your deck as you resolve. You as the owner, if you like resolve a Dispelling Stone, you get to pick where it goes. So you could technically shuffle Dispelling Stone into your main deck. Apparently, according to the judges, I might have misread them. We'll wait for the CR for specifics, but apparently that's how that works. Which is also one of the reasons why apparently if you're playing in Wanderer format and you cast a 1-cost inverse card off of her, you can technically invert it and keep it in the RFG as an inverted card. That's pretty spicy. Yeah, Flourishing Hope, please, and thank you.
Separation of Fates.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good 1-cost stuff. Just go to the FOW database.
Yeah, 1-cost white cards are good.
My God. Have fun.
Speaking of 1-cost white cards, we have Revealing the Power of Salvation, 1-cost white quick cast. Target any number of players. The chosen targets gain 1,000 life. Target J/Resonator gains +6/+6 and barrier black until end of turn. And when this card is discarded by a spell or ability your opponent controls, draw 2 cards. So I'm going to go down the line really quick. Target any number of players. That mode is good for yourself and good to mess with Belial players. Specifically Belial players, so that you can you started at $2,000. Go back up to 3, and then I'm going to leave you there for a while to kind of shut their deck off a little bit. The J Resonator +6/+6 barrier black.
It's a good effect, but I don't think any decks are really going to be able to capitalize on it right now.
Right now, anyway, with what we've seen. And then the discarded by a spell or ability your opponent controls. We have a lot of reveal discard right now, not a lot of random discard. However, we did just have a ruler spoil that says your opponent discards their whole hand. So sideboard against Satan decks.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll discard my hand of 4 cards. 3 of them were this. I will draw 6 cards.
All right, cool. We're back in the game.
Yeah, and we're back.
The only other thing I would say is I think the +6/+6 for 1 for a Faria deck is relevant, considering that can just give you a little extra reach.
Yeah, for sure. Especially since it can then turn into technically +12 if you're if you've got Fireboy out. So you can close out games.
Not irrelevant.
Not irrelevant. More white cards, although this is white-black. We have Angel of False Glory, 1 white, 1 black, flying, enter. If this card was not awakened, you lose the game. Just enter, destroy up to 1 target addition, and up to 1 Resonator, and up to 1 Regalia. Put a 4/4 Light Angel Resonator token with flying into the field for each card destroyed this way. Awakening is tap 2 recovered J/rulers you control.
This card is fantastic for when you're playing the lose the game turbo matchups. It's probably going to get banned.
I mean, this is one of those cards that I think that tied with Charlotte, I would suppose, with how situational it becomes. If the format shifts to a point where Belial can proactively use his God's Art as opposed to what we think he's going to be doing, which is reactively using his God's Art, this card is pretty spicy as a 2-drop, right? Especially since those tokens are going to come in as 6/6s for Belial and also have Bane, and they're going to do a lot of work, right? The problem here is Paul mentioned my favorite card, Yggdrasil's Grace. and we just had Charlotte who just says like, "Hey, you can just have a Yggdrasil's Grace in your sideboard and just like maybe cast it randomly." It's real funny because like that enter trigger goes on anytime, and like Yggdrasil's Grace can target your opponent's stuff. I'm gonna flicker it on a turn. You can lose the game and make you lose the game.
I like this card if there are discard options.
Sure.
Because that's a good way of getting some more, some of your token resonators onto the field. But the fact that you just lose the game if you don't awaken it and you have to rest both of your rulers in order to do it, it means you're not calling stone that turn.
Or you're
good.
using a Belial God Art, right? Like that's the whole purpose of it.
Or your opponent's Estema.
Or your opponent's. See, that's the other thing though. If your opponent's Estema, this card is very good, right? Like meta dependent how good or bad this card becomes. Post rotation, I think this card becomes a lot better because there isn't the like Yggdrasil's Grace threat to it. But like as this card gains popularity, Yggdrasil's Grace is just a card that says, thank you for conceding the game to me. Right? And
I feel like the real meta play for this card is to just bring like something terrible like Valentina to a tournament, lose your game 1 because you're playing Valentina, and then in game 2 sideboard into this card so you can lose way more quickly and go eat lunch in the next matchup.
There you go. Collectible farm. Since when could one player have 2 J rulers at once? It's the tag mechanic. If you have 2 rulers that have the exact same tag, so the 6 sages from Magic Stonemore have tag 6 sages, so you get to use 2 tag rulers. This set has tag Fallen Angel, so you get to use 2 Fallen Angels together as 1 ruler. Yep. It was introduced in this cluster.
Angel gets better. Yeah. I would say this angel gets better post rotation when we don't have Yggdrasil's Grace.
I agree.
Presumably.
Reprint. Like randomly reprint Yggdrasil's Grace. What?
Cruise of Juliet. Go.
Oh no. Next up we have the Angel of False Life. So 1 black, 1 white, 2 plus 2, pays 2 less if your life is 2,000 or less. So a nice little 2 cost 10/10 flyer for Belial. Enter your if you've done Fallen this turn. So if you've resolved the God's Art this turn, your opponent loses 1,000 life and you gain 1,000 life, which feels really weird for Belial. Like you can make it cheaper, and then you can turn off your own cards per turn. But the thing about Fallen, I think in general on Resonators right now, is we need to see what, I think across the board, the thing we need to see about Fallen is like what the format looks like for proactive versus reactive God's Arts. And that determines everything. Because like off the cuff, I'm like, Belial's never God's Arting unless he's going to die. That's his whole point right now in this format.
So here's something interesting.
Yeah.
This card is actually anti-Belial support. Belial's God's Art says you can't lose the game and you cannot take damage.
Just yeah.
That you can't lose life.
Yeah, and then you can set him down to 0 life. You can get past his damage and then let him lose the game later. Yep. That is also true. Yeah. So that is true.
It's most useful to just to like get that last 10 damage in, I think. Because I can see myself saying like, okay, I'll pop a stone, I'll play my God's Art, play this, win the game. Like I can see myself doing that.
Toby, Charlotte has to cast the card immediately. It works exactly like Thunder Empress Strike. You reveal it and immediately cast it or not. So, good question though. Sorry, Paul, I interrupted. I just wanted to hit that question.
No, that's it. I just think it's that little reach for Belial players, but
yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
sideboard it, mainboard it, maybe 2 in the mainboard. Depends on what you need it for.
Meta dependent, the card, right?
Stick it in your boxes full of cards and wait until somebody finds a way to break it.
Yeah. So let's talk about everyone's favorite Marvel Rare.
Here comes the boy.
Hello, boy.
Welcome.
Hello, boy.
Welcome.
This is Garion. He is 2 green, 2 black, and 1, 15/15 with swiftness, precision, and flying, with the continuous ability of your opponent cannot play spells with total cost 1 or less. And then he has pay 1 green and remove him from your hand. to cancel target spell with total cost 1 or less and pay 1 black and remove him from your hand to destroy target Resonator with total cost 1 or less. Kudos to I Spy for making sure that it wasn't pay 1 and discard, so that we don't have recycling of this card a bunch. The fact that they made it smartly have to RFG. Format gets slower. Format gets slower.
I'm gonna cast release on this thing and bring it back to my hand, and you can't stop me.
Yeah,
and draw a card.
That's right.
Which honestly,
that's right.
Seems
you,
good.
Toby, you can't stop me from doing this.
Yeah. No, I like this card a lot. I think this card. Goodness. I think this card is well designed. I like the fact that, like it's very clearly Carlina's pet. But also at the same time, Carlina is not going to feel super comfortable trying to, like, if she's going to try to jam it on one, it has to, if she wants to feel comfortable with it, it has to be turned to, like, has to be on the draw, and you have to hit 6 Sage Stone, and even then it feels real rough, because you're still walking into, like, you have to have, like, the second one in hand to try to stop the Welser play, potentially. Like, it feels real greedy, but that being said, you don't really need to cast Garion that way. You can just use it as a 1-cost cancel. And the fact that it's an activate ability to do the cancel, I think is huge. I think this card is easily going to see splashed into, like, pretty much any deck that can get away remotely comfortably with playing green, right? You're going to play at least 2 of these, if not 3, if not 4. Like, even if you have no intention of ever casting him as a 5-drop, he just sometimes will incidentally be castable as a 5-drop. But we have so much 1-cost stuff right now that being able to have this kind of, like, uninteractable way to stop that's equally will efficient, feels great. Because the problem right now with Welser is, like, you Welsered their Welser, they put their Welser back in your hand, and you just gave your opponent a cancel for later. With this, it's like, no. Welser gone. Like, you're actually 1-for-1ing there in the early game. I love it.
What if Otherworld Dreams was fair? Oh, look. Hi. Hello there.
Yeah.
Otherworld Dreams was kind of nuts.
That's a good point.
Back in the day, you could... Yeah. This feels fine. It definitely... I say warp the meta, and I think that has a pejorative sort of thing to it. And sure. I don't mean it to say, I'm saying, like, this is shaping the format in, I think, a really interesting way. The more I think about it, the less scared of it I am, and the more impressed I am with it.
Yeah, I would agree.
If that makes any sense.
And obviously, just a reminder that this is a beast, so you can cast Priestess Call to Action on it to give it swiftness and precision.
When it already double swiftness and precision, yeah.
You notice it's a beast, not a chimera. I'm sad.
Oh my god, stop.
Not as sad as Jeremy.
So I will say this.
Be good. Come on.
I will say the one thing that I think is important about this card is I think it was designed. It's designed to be a really good card for what the meta is currently, but it's also designed that if the meta shifts appropriately, it gets significantly worse very quickly. Which, to me, is great. Like, I do not want this card to be ever present in all formats forever. I want people to adjust to play 2 to 3 to 4 drops, right? And to have this card, like, drop out of popularity. Because that, to me, breeds health. That brings, like, the meta evolving. One thing I will say, though, is that this card, plus Battle Comes to an End, legitimately... just by existing, will force decks to be built differently. By the threat of them. You have to build differently. Because Garion can't answer Garion, the threat of Carlina opening up Battle Comes to an End plus Garion, like, that's not pretty for anyone. Like, you don't want to deal with that and suddenly on turn 1 just lose your deck. So your deck is going to have to be... Paul and I discussed this about the format right now, and Logan's gonna get after us in the chat, and frankly, I don't care. But about how this format is very much A to B decks, where the B is almost always the same. And sure, the path it takes to get there might vary, but it is at the end of the day B. And
It's gymnastics.
right.
Oh, I cannot wait to cancel Mikage Ray with this card.
But like,
Oh,
with this card and Battle Comes to an End, I think you're gonna have to start shifting decks to start to be decks that have A to B, A to F, A to 4, A to Q74, A to 39, XD 46. Like you're gonna need.
you're really bad at the alphabet.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Like you're gonna need.
Bowser.
You're gonna need to have different end games that you can pivot to, rather than go all in on very specific ideas, because second you get figured out, Carlina's gonna rip it, and you're gonna have nothing, and you're gonna be like, well, I guess I have to grind with Burning Robot to try to get there.
Which I definitely almost did this past weekend.
It's true, but it was also in the format
Don't
that
sleep on it.
right, but that was also not this
Yeah.
coming format that we're coming to, right?
That's true. It's very true.
So like,
I mean, just
Yeah.
how many things are getting crapped out by this one card existing, right? Like, suddenly, Turbulence does not feel nearly as good to play.
correct.
Gosh, I'm literally just going through, and I'm like, okay, what else? What else do we say? Tiny Violet. Nope, you can't hardcast a Dolly. You also cannot hardcast a Permafrost, but you can certainly play a Permafrost.
Priscia's call to action. No.
No.
No, how else are you gonna get him swiftness then?
Priscia's searching for friends or whatever. Priscia's
Okay,
Big
shit.
Show. That one.
There we
no.
Oh,
Well,
Yeah,
sir,
yeah,
no.
Big Show.
oh, you get to cancel Big Show.
Road to the Sacred
God,
Queen.
so many
No.
things.
Uh,
No Never End.
Never End.
No Assault from the Demonic World. 'Cause
No
you're already
hard,
there.
no hard cast
Dispelling Stone.
dollies.
No
Yeah.
hardcast dollies.
No hardcast
Did
dollies.
we mention no turbulence?
We also mentioned no turbulence. Like, I think this card's great. I think this card's great.
Stuff in this cluster.
Yeah, I think this card's great.
Card's amazing.
I think probably the most easily the most expensive card in the set, which is unfortunate. But Marvel rares have been pretty stable in price and not being too ridiculous. Please listen to us right now. Get a set of these. Do not sleep on this card.
I'm gonna sleep on it. It's bad. Give them to me. Thank you.
Don't sleep on it. It good. Don't let it be the next Tsuya that you miss out on. It good. This card countering Big Show and being uncounterable until turn 4 feels like the main reason the Big Show decks are going to be. Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, they have to have Pointy Hat Witch to be able to cancel this. Okay. And you get
Seal 4.
And Seal 4, right?
Well, that means the counter is to play Brad. And Brad becomes new meta!
We've figured it out, boys.
We've come full circle,
We've
boys!
figured it out.
I'll just counter with Mikage. Come on.
Oh, I forgot
Get
about
good.
Tier 0 Mikage.
Tier 0 Mikage.
God, I forgot about that.
Let's talk about more
so
Carlina
bad.
cards. Let's talk about more Carlina cards. We got Hunting Angel here. 2 white and 2 Angel, 12/12. 4-cost Angel, grabbable off of Celestial Wing Seraph, which is currently in format, by the way. Flying, enter, destroy
Angel's
target.
Sword.
Enter, destroy target resonator your opponent controls. You gain life equal to its defense. Pay 1 white, discard this card, destroy target attacking resonator. And if fallen, whenever you gain life, this card deals that much damage to your opponent. Another wonderful, clearly meant for Carlina so that she can actually interact with your opponent despite casting a card. Still going to be a wonderful splash card for other rulers in color. Like, uncancelable
We've got
spot
some
removal is great.
thick cards this set, boys.
Yeah, also like thick card.
Body positivity.
Body positivity.
Thick.
I just want to say, oh hey, look, they spoiled Garion and the answer to Garion in the same spoiler. So don't, good players will just play Garion and say go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That'll be a thing.
Yeah. Don't
Until they get the stoning to death.
don't yeah. Correct. The only thing I have to say about this card is that it's very silly if you're watch out if you're playing Estema, because if for some reason your opponent wants to make a draw, if you have you can if you can give this thing drain, you can technically create an infinite that doesn't end the game, which forces the game to be a draw. So have a way to end the loop. So the way the force, I'll explain that. The way the Force of Will rules work is that if a loop would continue infinitely, and neither player has a way to stop it, and it doesn't end with the game like someone being a winner, the game is automatically declared a draw. So if your opponent is Estema and therefore can't, and your opponent therefore can't win, and then you have, I forget exactly the way it works. Oh no, sorry. If you are playing Estema, if your opponent is playing Estema so that they can't win, then like you can create a loop where this thing can just deal damage to something infinite times, and it just like cycles out and just constantly drains and triggers and drains and triggers and drains, and it just goes on forever. It's real bad. It's never gonna happen, but like make sure you have a way to kill this. Yeah. Savage Gamer, welcome. As far as Force of Will, I'm still using a deck from 2018. Man, 2018. It's like
those are the days.
It's like Rhea cluster, Rhea cluster, new Valhalla cluster. It's good stuff.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you could tell, I literally just sorted my whole collection and took out the things I don't need anymore. And so I just looked at Rhea cluster today, and I had so many fun.
I have 3 new Frontiers decks that are put together now, and I need one more. I don't know who to.
Speaking of Estema, let's talk about Estema's Fury. 1 red, 1 black. Chant. Your opponent discards 2 cards. Fallen. You may put all resonators discarded this way into the field under your control. They gain swiftness until end of turn. At the next end of turn, their controller removes them from the game. I love this card.
This card's pretty good.
This card was like, hey, your opponent gets to choose 2 things, but sometimes you can be like, oh, what are you gonna choose? You get it?
Hope it's something good.
Like creating a spell. I think creating a discard spell where I don't get to choose, but I can still have influence over my opponent's choices is very cool design. Very cool design.
Yeah.
And then your opponent discards the angel. And then your opponent discards the angel that like, if you can't, has the enter effect and you lose the game, and then you're like, oh crap. But it does say you may. Thankfully, it does say you may. So like you
I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put it into.
So I've had this small short play being written in my head ever since this card was spoiled. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna play Estema's Fury. Okay, it's a good thing I held up these 2 cards in my hand because I knew he was gonna play Estema's Fury. I can cancel it. Oh, but I don't have the open will. Crap. Oh, and it's a 2 cost, so I can't discard my Garion to. Oh no, he has my Garion now. And scene.
Oh no. But again, that's to go back to kind of what I was talking about before, right? Is like Garion's existence naturally threatens 1-drop deck the meta, which then naturally should have a shift to starting to see more 2-3 cost cards starting to come into decks so that they can dodge Garion more, which therefore makes Garion not as good, which then makes people feel comfortable going back to 1-drops. And it's like the Garion cycle just by itself, just like wah. And I'm fine with it. I'm here for it. Every minute of every day, I'm here for it. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Good card. Good card. Good card. I like it.
I've heard good things about good card.
Next up, we have the Castle of Estema, the first of our castles. We have 4 of them to talk about today. 2 cost, enter, your opponent banishes a resonator. At end of turn, you may remove this card from the game. And with Fallen, you may play this card from your removed area without paying its cost. Just a good little repeatable potential spot removal.
I see this card, and all I can think of is that meme that's like, not today, Satan. Not today.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. I mean, that's not. You're not wrong. Of like, this is
You're being very ironic, though.
another potential very much anti Satan card of like.
Along with every other card that's been printed. Hey-oh!
I mean, he has Eternal and Barrier, so like not every other card that's been printed, but Banishing
Oh,
is
hey,
very
look,
good.
it kills Garion.
Stop. Don't massacre my boy like that.
What did I miss besides Jeremy being overly optimistic? Not much, buddy. No,
Isn't
cool,
that the only thing you come here to see?
cool card. Cool design. Main boardable.
No.
Two at most.
Cool card for limited though.
Oh, great card for limited.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Although I don't know if we have
you
any
can
way
bring
to
it out
do
with Sigurd,
God's Art. Yeah, you can grab it with Sigurd, which is neat. So that's nice.
which is just casually play your 2/8 that also makes your opponent banish a resonator, and if they attack into it, it has Bane.
Next up
So
we
there you go.
have going to Beatrice. Beatrice's Imagination. 1 blue, 1 black. You may play cards from your graveyard this turn if a card would be put into the grave. Bye, Mike. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, remove it from the game instead, and with null, it produces blue-black. So this is essentially Forbidden Fruit, but at null, which is what Beatrice wants to be anyway, it becomes a free Forbidden Fruit. For the null deck, we needed a card like this. The fact that it becomes free so it doesn't like disrupt your turn, which was one of the problems with Forbidden Fruit, is nice. The fact I don't really have much else to say other than that if we didn't get a card like this for the null deck, I'd be like, okay, so this deck just doesn't exist anymore, right? Yeah, I'm fine with this card as is. Clearly fits into a Beatrice card deck.
I just want to play this in Wonder, throw all my regalia into the grave, play this card, and then just go. But that's just kind of my thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I want.
Unlimited regalia works.
I am the bone of my Levitine.
Let's talk about the card that I think has more implications than this card, though, which is Castle of Beatrice. 1 blue, 1 black. Cards not named Castle of Beatrice in your graveyard cannot be targeted by spells or abilities and cannot be removed from the game by effects as long as this card is in your graveyard. And then pay 1 blue, pay 1 black. Put this resonator from your graveyard into your hand. Play this ability only if this card is in your graveyard. I really like this card, not only for Beatrice, for being able to potentially recycle some of her cards or something like that. I also really like this card for Carlina. Because, like, you can just, if you have a single stone open, you can just be like, tap Carlina, get the discard resonator I need back, use it immediately. Okay.
Yeah, the fact this card legitimately has no on-field effect and a mana cost is very strange to me. But, like, there's a lot of really solid self-discard cards right now. Like, first and foremost, you can just play a Soul Hunt and toss this into the grave.
Yep.
And then you just have that going on. The fact that it protects other things in the grave other than itself. So it's like you have like an automatic Dark Alice stop your opponent from touching stuff in your grave. I don't know. This card just screams like...
Someone tried to tell me put this card in Violet, and I was like, don't.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
Don't do it to yourself. Don't hurt yourself as the Violet player. Don't cut yourself off from Baja. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Also, don't make your tiny violets worthless. Like, don't do it.
Or your burning robots.
Although I don't think burning robot targets. But
okay. Let's
go look. But also, don't
out.
turn off your tiny violets by playing this card.
Don't do that.
Also, don't do that.
Savage Gamer, do they have starter decks for 2020, 2021? The starter decks that you can buy is the Alice Origin starter decks. We're hoping that next cluster is going to have... It targets. It does target. Rip. So really don't play this as a Violet player. Don't do it. Bad idea. Don't. Not that you were going to, but just in case, don't. The Alice Origin starter decks are the most recent starter decks we have. They were from the beginning of 2020. They're still currently New Frontiers legal. Will be for the end of by the end of 2021. With Garion that we showed here today, probably potentially making a comeback. Regalia are essentially Lycaons. You just needed a way to be able to successfully resolve them in a format with Welser. And then whoops, we found it. And then we're hopeful. We're pretty dang hopeful that that there will be starter decks with next cluster. But buying a box, the set ratios in a box are so great. For like just buy a box and be able to build a deck. Buy like 1 or 2 boxes and you're just like, yeah, I can build something really fun out of this, if not 2 decks that are both really fun out of this stuff. So those would be my suggestions. Moving on, we got Belial stuff. Belial. We have Belial's Rule. 1 white, 1 black, and 2. You may pay 2 less to play this card if your life is 2,000 or less. Remove all non-token resonators from the game. Remove this card from the game as it resolves. This card gains players cannot chase God's Art abilities you control as long as it is in your removed area. Just dang on a card, right? Like, whew.
Yeah, remember when this card used to be like a 4-cost white, and 1, and like it wasn't removal, it was like destruction?
Yeah.
Look how far we've come. Who would have thought?
But also, we already have a card that can technically counter this, which is nice, right?
Yeah.
If you're worried about
Called Welser.
Well, it's also called the Ragnarok card. I'm just like, although that costs 2 unless your opponent is Ragnarok. But we have things.
Yeah.
You know, net will cost, right? The answer costs as much as the threat.
We have cancels for this. It's called cancel cards.
It's also called cancels, right? Yeah. Overall, very cool card. I think the best part about this is very clearly being able to make Belial never have to worry about God's Arts. Although, once again, I'm at a point where, like, the times where I would want to have Belial's God's Arts are probably times that you're not going to be able to cancel them anyway, because Pointy Hat's probably not live yet. I just need to understand where Fallen is going more in this set.
Into the dumpster.
I don't think so.
Next question.
I don't think that's true necessarily, but we've got a lot of set left to see before I like have a full judgment on like proactive God's Arting.
Judgment.
Well, they're definitely like encouraging us to use God's Arts for sure. I mean,
yeah,
like they literally gave us a stone that said you can play more God's Arts now. Go for it.
I'm hoping that the next couple of sets print more cards with God's Arts, because right now all we have are like the Fallen Angels, Olivia, and then a bunch of trash rulers from the past year that are unplayable. But you know who's counting? Like all of them. But
oh, that's actually true.
How are you getting a Regalia on board, Jeremy? Don't say Garion again. Don't you dare! I'm looking at you.
They do have God's Arts. Man, I have now a full Atlas Origins cluster and I are gonna get along. We're gonna get along just fine.
I'll be over here with everybody else playing good cards.
I'll be here canceling all your prevention stuff with my Garions.
What if I Garion your Garion?
You can't.
Oh no! I can Welser you. No, I can't Welser.
You can't Welser the Garion either.
I will.
I will resolve.
The pointing
I will resolve. Not when I'm resolving a Regalia onto. Like it's not happening.
Lorate your Garion.
It's fair. That's fair. It's a fair one, Paul.
By the way, this card, it's a 2-drop, so it kills Garion.
Got him.
There it is.
It's also a 4-drop.
You found it also was 4-drop with Carlina.
98 on Metacritic. Let's go.
Going to the castle. Let's go to the castle of Belial. So
it's
1 white, 1 black.
Rotten.
So 1 white, 1 black. If damage would be dealt to you, prevent 400 of it. Keep in mind that having multiple of these on the field will stack. So if you have 2, you prevent 800. 3, prevent 1200. So on and so forth. And you can tap to put a 4/4 Light Darkness Fallen Angel Resonator token with flying into the field, which will be a 6/6 token for Belial.
Remember Maribel, the steel doll? This is her now. Feel old yet?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Not quite.
not really. I like it a lot. I did remember having a conversation with someone being like, yes, I think Burn is going to come back as the deck, even with Red Hat. And I'm like,
Haha.
and then this card was spoiled, and I'm like, yeah, Red Witch plus this, like, you ain't playing Burn anymore. Like, it's just not a thing. Thunder, that'll be 100. Cool.
GG.
Great. Your third matchstick will deal 100 damage to me. Not that matchstick was even a deck in the first place, but like, just no, it's not going to be a thing. I like this card a lot. Being an addition that Belial can instantly use to also generate a 6/6 body creature, and then like just repeatable advantage for Belial to generate those tokens that he's so very clearly going to be leading into as a Belial focused deck. Very, very cool. Great card. Also having that life gain protection built in to kind of go along with the fact that you're starting at a lower life. Great card. Solid 8 out of 10 for me from this card.
This card.
I just love the idea of having like 2 or 3 of these in the field and just being like, I get 3 free resonators every turn now.
And you can't damage me. Good luck.
Yeah. Rip.
Oh, by the way, here's my board wipe that won't kill my board, but will kill yours for 2. That kills Garion.
Oh yeah, that's true because they're and kills Garion.
Can't forget the Garion.
I'm sure you said, but when does the set come out? The set comes out August 27th. Pre-release weekend is August 21st.
Coming soon.
August 27th.
Coming this summer.
Pre-release
So
weekend is
games
my
sort of near
birthday.
Radar starts Friday.
Birthday. As it
Okay.
always is.
Let's go to Carlina.
Hell yeah.
Carlina's hunting.
Carlina.
1, 2 green, 2 black. Destroy all J resonators other than a J rulers you control. Recover a J/ruler you control. If this card was awakened, destroy all additions. Awakening is resting a recovered J/ruler you control, and you may pay this card as though it has quick cast if you rest a recovered J/ruler you control as an additional cost to play this card. So, it's a lot of words. Important to understand as we're evaluating this. Current understanding as to how this card works is that the awakening and the making it quick cast are separate from each other. So if you want it to awaken and be quick cast, you got to tap 2. Current understanding. That might be different. I don't think it matters because the awakening specifically hits additions. I think most of the time you're going to be tapping 1 to make it be quick cast. And then like recovering the one that you just tapped or something like that. This card is great. Card is just good.
Wolfgang hates this card.
Yeah, also rip Wolfgang.
Maybe.
Hold on. The
Maybe.
link in the description should take you right to where you need to go. Hold on. I see that. This is a good Sam. Thank you for also hi Sam. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey.
If you go in the website link right in the description, click on that. There's literally a thing right at the front that says FOW the 7th pre-orders. You can just go right to it. Just click that button right down below.
Click the link in the description below.
They've still got booster boxes.
Like and subscribe.
They've still got booster boxes and pre-release kits available, so you can still go check those. But thanks for asking the question. There you go. The conditional quick cast is also very cool. It's also, here's the important thing. It says you may play this card as though it has quick cast, so it doesn't actually have quick cast.
So you can't favor spell it.
Not that relevant in this format, but in like Wanderer, Fairer Spell can't stop it. Like, okay, great. Seal of Wind and Light, like whatever. or just use Carlina, right? This does bring up an interesting point for Carlina. If you're worried about a cancel and you need that spell to resolve, use Carlina's God's Art before you even put the card on the chase. Don't be dumb and like play the card, they play the first cancel, you Godsart in response, they play a second cancel. Don't do it. If you needed to resolve that turn, just Godsart, then play the card. Like, please. That's going to happen at least once at our locals, I'm sure, from one of our players who's a little bit less experienced, or going to happen from a player at a GP one time. Just like, listen, Godsart, resolve, then cast big spell. Please.
Or just don't play the card, and then you don't have to worry about any of those rulings.
That's true. But I also think it's a very good card.
I have my doubts about it, but I will see how people get creative with it. I don't think I'm fully grasping the amount of hard control Carlina is going to find herself in.
Yeah. So, speaking of our last
Considering
card,
you get to play,
Go
considering you get to play one card per turn, this seems fine. Just stop your opponent from doing anything, and then I mean, like they establish a board, you wipe it. I actually don't know how good that is right now because you can reestablish pretty easily with these
Sure.
ADK rulers.
That's what I'm
For sure.
thinking as well.
Yep.
Or ADW rulers, excuse me.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
I don't know how. 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. So next up we have Castle of
5 out of 10.
Carlina to end the night. 1 green, 1 black, 2 colorless. Enter, search your deck with a total cost for a card with total cost 5 or more. The boy. Because Garion. Entities you control cannot be banished by spells or abilities your opponent controls. That doesn't mean they can't be RFG'd. Spells you control cannot be canceled by spells or abilities your opponent controls. So that's pretty good. And then entities you control with total cost 4 or more gain barrier. So important thing to note here is this does not stop board wipes. You just can't be banished. We have plenty of...
Does not stop Welser.
Does not stop Welser, because he's not a cancel. But we have Garion to stop Welser, which we're going to search off of this card anyway, so it's great.
Not if this card gets canceled. Anyway.
we will have resolved a battle comes to an end on one and removed all their Welsers, and it's not a problem anymore.
Yes, can't forget that play.
Yeah. I like this card a lot for what Carlina is, right? She is designed to be... Not only am I going to be discarding cards, but I'm going to be resolving 3-cost, 4-cost, 5-cost resonators and sticking them to field. We are in a format where 1 and 2-cost removal, spot removal, is incredibly efficient. And I think in order to be able to make 4, 5, 6 drop resonators feel even remotely viable to use as the resonator mode, a card like this has to exist. Because like you need something to be able to say like, I'm going to play this 4-cost and you are not going to be able to will efficiently deal with it. Like it is a threat on board that can't just be speedily answered for way less than I paid for it. And I like the fact that it gives itself barrier and it gives itself not being able to be banished. Again, that's not eternal. You can still absolutely destroy it. Which is, I think, is also very important, right? We have some very good board wipes in the form of Olivia. Olivia has wonderful board wipes for stuff like this. It doesn't stop you from having things removed from the game en masse. Like, it's just niche enough that big dudes feel good, or it's just wide enough that big dudes feel good, but it's not so wide that they're like completely and utterly safe for forever if you've resolved this card. Which I think is exactly the sweet spot of what this edition needed to be for Carlina. Okay, my power went out. That's a thing. That's never happened before at this house.
Now we have Jeremy in mood lighting.
Now I'm in mood lighting.
Hang on, don't worry.
Ruler School.
I'll join
After
you, buddy.
dark.
Thanks.
It's exactly the same.
Yes. Thank you for joining me in the mood lighting. After dark.
After dark. It's 10 p.m. We have to turn the lights out. Everybody go to bed. It's a school night.
Yeah, it's good. So to end what I was saying is that I think this edition is exactly what it needs to be for Carlina. I don't think this card is playable outside of Carlina. And I like it a lot for exactly that. For exactly what it does specifically for Carlina. but like off the top of my head, in 15 seconds, I was able to tell you all the different ways that this isn't just a be-all, end-all protection for her, which is great. Because also, spells you control cannot be canceled. Okay, she's casting 1 spell per turn.
Yeah, that's a lot of value right there.
So it's like she doesn't have to use a God's Art anymore. Like
Yeah.
it literally
happens.
happens.
It just protects her, right? Which is nice. Which again feels good for the deck that can only play 1 spell per turn.
I'm not sure like where the stream ended, but like in my head, like turn 1 you battle comes to an end, you remove their stuff. Turn 2 you play this, you get your Garion. Like that curve feels good to me, especially if you're on coin.
Yes.
And then after that you just start doing whatever, and then you can't lose the game if you're playing as Estema or Belial. So
well, you can't win the game if you're playing as Estema. You can't lose the game if you're playing as Belial.
That's true.
And you can't win the game if you're playing Asmodeus because Asmodeus is bad.
I'm gonna build an Asmodeus Goddess deck while they're still currently legal, and I'm gonna just be turboing out Goddesses and Castle. Ooh. And it's your favorite Gatekeeper of Velsivaria to make all your white and red cards be Goddesses. Super fast Castle into super huge board. This is a deck. Yeah, no, I like this card a lot. It's a really good point to end on. Apparently I was eating too much electricity, and so my house just decided I needed to stop.
As we were looking at the gluttony cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Your house is eating too much energy.
Exactly.
Don't do gluttony, kids.
Don't do gluttony. So, I do want to say,
not even once.
As we close things out here today, I do want to say a few things here. First off, this Wednesday we will not have a feature match, but we will be doing a casual foul Wednesday off of my phone with one of the tables of our locals tournament. So it won't have commentary, it won't have anything. It'll just be a shot of one of the things of the phone. We're going to be recording a match for the follow-up week later down the line. I think I'm going to be recording Red Black, an attempt at anti-Violet Wolfgang. See how that goes. And then if I play against a Violet player, great. Cough, cough, Paul, bring Violet on Wednesday. Got it. To specifically play in a recording.
Paul, bring me Kage.
So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing deck profiles, obviously, coming back next week. I will say, we did actually just pass the threshold on TikTok for me to give away a signed Alice Origins Faria ruler signed by the artist. So if you're interested in that, I'll be doing the giveaway sometime this weekend. So go check out TikTok and just search for Ruler School TCG on TikTok and go give us a like and a follow.
Go watch Jeremy Boomer memes.
Big Boomer memes. And then if you do that, you'll be entered into the giveaway to win that Alice signed by the artist, Alice Origins Faria ruler. Again, check out Odyssey Games down below. If you just click the link right down below us if you need to get pre-orders for the next set. And sign up for the August GP, which will be streaming next weekend too. So looking forward to a lot of fun there. But until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, sitting in the dark, than usual, joined by Paul Reisman.
Here comes the boy.
It is the boy. Hello, boy.
Welcome, boy. Welcome.
And
my Grants it is.
Wait. Garion could cancel Kiki. I'm devastated.
Kiki can cancel both modes of Kiki.
I'm doubly devastated. I'm so upset right now. Garion needs to be unprinted right now. I'm going to yell at camera right now.
And on that note, have a good night, everybody. Class dismissed.